Peace, peace. Back, Black Fathers Academy, and today's topic is about dating and getting into new relationships when you have children. I've been inspired to do this because I've seen a lot of different things over the years. I'm focused on the fathers right now, but I've seen on both ends of mothers and fathers being negligent in the way in which how they bring a new person to their life, whether that's through a friend, or eventually become a boyfriend and things like that. And we got to be very critical about who we allow into our children's lives. Our children are sacred, and that's a sacred space. And we should have a criteria of what qualifies a person to be able to make it to that space to be able to be around our children. It has a lot. It has a lot of play on them psychologically, emotionally, and things like that as they develop. And you have children that have grown up into adults, and you might be one of those adults that have scars because of your parents or parent poor selection of certain people. But we focusing on fathers, right? So I think if you come to the realization that you're dating or you want to have a mate, or let's just say for instance, you the type of brother that you have different women that you have sexual encounters with or certain things like that. Um, I don't think your children should ever meet anybody like coming into your place of where you're at, where your children are at. I don't think your children should be meeting those women. I don't think, and not saying that those women are bad or anything. I just think that creates a lot of confusion. Whereas those like, my dad introduced me to this woman this week, and then 3 weeks later I'm meeting another woman, and the next week we going out. I'm having ice cream with her, and next week he's arguing with this. Just um, throughout a period of time, it just started to be a variety of women, and it's not a good look. It's not a good look because uh, it doesn't show them stability. So if you are the type of person that's not interested in having a relationship, which you have a right to personally, that should be a separate world away from your children. And whether your children live with you or not, that differs. But you have to find a way of how you're going to engage that world without your children being involved. Because sometimes you have men that it's like a lot of women that they deal with, they have them all over at the house, or they're doing certain things. They're bringing their children around. When they come pick a child up, they got somebody else in the car. And I don't agree. I don't agree with those things. I think you should have a qualification. Whereas the people, if it's a woman that you have in your life or considering being in your life, I think there should be a process by which you really can trust or you're confident that this person is going to be around for a while, you know. And not only that, but there should be communication with this person. You know, there should be communication with this woman, like, you know, I have a child in the beginning before things go full steam ahead, because a lot of times that's a part of our problem. That's why so many of us have children the way that we do. Not saying everybody have children unexpectedly and things like that. Some people do plan on having children, and I understand that. But I'm saying I know there's a great number of people that barely knew their mate like that, and they was having children and getting to learn their mate at the same time. And we got to stop that cycle because it just breeds confusion, and more times than not, it does not. It's not of a benefit. So in the beginning, we need to be discussing the fact that we have children and that we are committed to being the man that we need to be to our children. And that has a certain priority in our lives. It has a certain priority in our lives, right? And that woman needs to be able to understand that. And it takes time for you to see how much she can understand that, value it, and appreciate it. Some people get into relationships, or some brothers get into relationships, you know, and they're still committed to their other family a certain way, and the woman feel like, you know, you're not paying her no mind. You're not giving y'all relationship any attention. And you got to figure out a way to balance that out. But if you determine that you're going to show up a certain way, there has to be something that's understood and accepted on the other side. You can't force somebody to do that. You can't force a woman to do that. But you have to at least make sure that y'all spent time where if you pay attention to what is going on throughout your process, you can start to be able to understand what type of person that you're dealing with, right? And so we need to understand it. And then, all transparency, we really need to have stable relationships with our children's mother, because before you bring another child, I mean, before you bring another woman around your child, principally, the children's mother should know. And I understand everybody's situation is different. Like I said before in some of my previous videos, or one of my previous videos, some of us have bad beefs with our children's mothers. We have bad communication. I mean, it's just a whole lot of back and forth. It's a constant war. And so for some people, having that type of conversation is not really going to happen, because all it does is just make things worse. And some people just have the type of relationships with their children's mother where it's though, hey, if she got a boyfriend around the, hey, if I got a girlfriend, then it is what it is. If that works for you, I don't agree with that as a parent, but I can't impose what I believe on somebody's situation. I know, like my children's mother, if she has a man in her life, and she decides to bring that man around my children, I want to know. I want to meet this brother, and I would greet him warmly. I'm gonna be paying attention, and I'm on point, but I'm not going to be showing him any type of hostility or anything. But I'm the man in my children's life, and he has to know that, and he has to respect that, right? And I would do the same thing if I was dealing with a woman who had children and they had a father, especially a involved father. So, with that being said, we need to really check how we engage. Not moving so fast head first into relationships where things are not understood, and then it becomes conflicts, because some of our relationships with our children go bad because of how we have hopped from relationship to relationship to relationship. And sometimes, like prime example, you have men that will jump into another relationship with a woman who has children, right? And his natural or biological children feel like you living over there with her, with them children, y'all doing fun things. You didn't come get me this week, or you're not spending a lot of time with me, or in all of those different things. It causes a lot of confusion. So I'm not saying there's a perfect way to address this, but moving slow and growing gradually can allow for you to be able to kind of position yourself to pay attention as things are developing. Whereas it's like, I gotta find a way to merge my child or my children into what I'm doing over here. And if you are the father that moved, you don't live with your biological children and you move somewhere else eventually, I understand that, those things happen. That's a part of life. But you have to find a balance. If you don't have a balance, you have to find a balance to be able to have your children so it does not become an antagonistic situation, because it can become that. And that causes resentment, a lot of deep wounds in children, and it follows into adulthood where they don't really want to deal with the father because they just didn't feel valued enough. And we got to be slow, is what I'm trying to emphasize in how we build these relationships. We have to, and we have to make sure, for one, that this woman that we're choosing, not trying to make her a mother, but we're we got to scout to make sure that she's good for our children, that she has the capacity, and that's something that she wants to be a part of, right? If she does not really, want to be involved with children like that, and she has every right to that. Everybody has different stages of life that they're in, So you got to look at, do she really want that? Do she really want that? And if she does, then that's fine. Some people got great situations, whereas the girlfriend, the children's mother get along, the children get along, wonderful. But I understand everybody's situation don't go down like that. But you have to determine what's your qualification process in terms of who gets to make it around your children. They should not make it around your children just solely because you really like them and they seem like this type of, great person that you want your children to meet, or you just start bringing them around. You should not do that. I believe that is negligent. You should protect your children's mind. You should protect their private space. You should protect their comfortability, right? And you're also teaching them. Because a lot of things in the way in which how they're going to engage in relationships is going to be lessons that you instilled consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously. So being very intentional about when you bring somebody around and how you bring them around is very, very, very crucial. And it's the responsible thing to do. And that's the pinnacle about being a parent, is being responsible. It's really being responsible about what you do. And you can't control everything, and I feel like you should carry it this way, even if, let's say, for instance, the child's mother don't carry it that way. I've had the talk before, whereas you do what's right. You do what's principled, no matter what nobody else do, because that's what your inner resolve and your own inner constitution is really about, is how you behave and how you show up, regardless of how other people show up. Because that's the real meaning of strength and integrity and things like that, where your behavior or your moral uprightness is not dictated by other people. Because if it's dictated by other people, your change is not under control. Your discipline is not yours. It doesn't belong to you. It's at the hands of events and things like that. So I just wanted to drop that word, on a personal level. My girl's birthday party, two of my youngest girls' birthdays are here. Well, not here all in the same day. Their birthdays are 3 days apart. So one birthday was yesterday, which was July 3rd. Then my next daughter is July the 6th. So typically what we've done for years is have a celebration on one day for both of them, right? So it's about to be a long day. I wanted to get this video done. I've been dealing with a lot of stuff on a personal level. I'll share it briefly before I end this video. My older 3 children, which are not biologically mine. For those that don't know, I have 5 children. 2 are biologically mine, 3 are not. The older 3 children, they have the same father, and their father passed, right? And that's going to be a ongoing process for them, because my children did not really get to know him like that. He was not really involved, and he was not really there, right? So I'm supporting them. Pretty soon we'll probably be traveling to where he was residing, as far as state, to go to the funeral. I'll be in support of that, for my children. So got a lot going, got a lot going on. But anyway, consider about your relationships and things like that, because a lot of times children become a byproduct of these relationships and these arrangements that we have. And the more critical and more care that we use, the better we're able to make things for our children. The more suitable it is, less breakups, less divorces, and things like that. There's nothing wrong with taking the slow. And I know a lot of times, we live in a society of instant gratification, or when you really feeling somebody, we feel like, oh, we just need to do this. It just seals the icing on the cake. What are we waiting for? There's nothing wrong with waiting. It is nothing wrong with waiting, especially when you look at what happens when we don't take that time to wait. And if we're the ones, that need the deep inner work, let's be about that, because that's another thing. It's not always about knowing who those people, the other person is, or who the other woman is. Who are you, brother? Who are you? Are you upright? Are you ready? Are you mature? Are you disciplined? And things like that. Work on becoming the best version of yourself. And as you are developing that process, then you start to consider maybe, right? Because if you're not right within yourself, really deeply, and I'm not talking about what we put in our heads to make ourselves feel good, arrogant, ego, for those of us that do that, but you're going to destroy everything you touch. And we want to be a blessing to whatever we touch. Peace.